Been there for as long as Kenya exists.
Legislators of the North Rift region pressing hard Cabinet Secretary Kindiki on the ongoing operation, which has entered its third month, as majority of the members of parliament lamented that little has been achieved by the joint operation by the National Police Service and the Kenya Defence Forces, as more attacks and livestock theft continue to be reported.
Do we have a capacity as a country to handle this internal conflict? Because there has been a recurrent raids or conflict in this country.
Nitakuwa nikicomplain mara ngapi? Watu wangu hawana punduki. Mimi sio kama wale wengine wana punduki wanaweza kujiokoa. Sisi hatuna punduki. Wasiri na anaelewa.
The National Police Service are unable to handle the bandits and bring a motion to this house so that we can have the Kenya military or the KDF to take over the operations of bandits in Kerio Valley.
Kindiki was quick to assure that the government, apart from deploying more officers to the region, assault machinery will also be doubled up to efficiently aid to deal with the gun-toting bandits, while also highlighting the milestone achieved since the commencement of the operation.
But Mr. Speaker, we have prevented and thwarted and even recovered livestock numerous times on a daily basis. I am even willing to table within the time that we have had an operation in the north, how many livestock have been stolen in all those counties, how many have been recovered, and where, and how many are outstanding.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki is the first of ministers to face MPs answering questions directly from the legislators on the floor of the House as the new standing orders take effect, as the House Business Committee resolved to have at least 3 CS appear before the House every Wednesday afternoon. Mwege William, TV47.
And still on the same matters, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has affirmed that there are no shoot-to-kill orders against demonstrators or any other suspects. This comes on the backdrop of reported cases of deaths orchestrated by men in uniform during protests in different parts of the country. Recently, Tharaka Nithi Boda Boda Association Chair Willis Mugambi was reported to have been shot in the chest and died on the spot, resulting in a fierce battle between police and Boda Boda operators. Mike Kagongo tells us more.
Professor Kithure Kindiki on Wednesday found himself on the receiving end, clearing the air on police brutality witnessed in the country against protesters in the recent past. The CS said relevant authorities have already begun investigations against police who use live ammunition, and once found guilty, they shall be dealt with in accordance with the law.
And the policy of this administration is zero tolerance on extrajudicial killings. The police officers have been informed accordingly that we shall not protect any officer who misuses their firearm to kill people other than what the law provides on the use of lethal force in law enforcement.
Appearing before the National Assembly to respond to questions by MPs, Kindiki said officers from the Internal Affairs Unit of the Police and the Independent Policing Oversight Authority have been deployed to probe incidents of shooting during demonstrations. Recently, the Tharaka Nithi Boda Boda Association Chair Willis Mugambi was reportedly shot in the chest and died on the spot, resulting to a fierce battle between police and Boda Boda operators. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority Sunday launched investigations into the incident, stating that its Meru regional officers were deployed to look into the matter and shall recommend appropriate actions for any person found culpable.
However, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it is the position of this government that there is need to reform our national security organs to make sure that they respond better to our threats. That is why one of the first acts His Excellency the President undertook was to institute a presidential task force on reforming the National Police Service.
Further, the CS said investigations are ongoing to establish who killed a Maseno University student during Azimio protest, maintaining that government was determined to stop extrajudicial killings.
We are continually addressing command issues to ensure efficiency. Even this afternoon, I think the government and the National Police Service will be announcing changes in the top command of the National Police Service.
However, Kindiki denied claims that the police were applying double standards in probing police killings. Mike Kagwongo, TV47, Nairobi.
Totally different agenda.
Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki is the first CS to appear before the National Assembly for accountability questions following the amendment of the standing orders. This will be the norm for all the CSs every Wednesday. Flora Limukin now with a historic turn of events last seen in the old constitutional dispensation.
After legislators adopted a report by the Committee on Procedure and House Rules amending Standing Order 25A, Cabinet Secretary for Interior Professor Kithure Kindiki has officially commenced the exercise whereby CSs attend accountability sessions before the bicameral parliament. The National Assembly amended Section 25A of the Standing Orders to have the Cabinet Secretaries appear before the House every Wednesday afternoon, anew for the current 2010 Constitution.
I have formally requested Parliament to formulate within its procedures a mechanism for Cabinet Secretaries to appear before the House and give account to the people's representatives.
In the changes to the standing orders, the Clerk of the National Assembly shall prepare and publish on the parliamentary website a tentative list of Cabinet Secretaries scheduled to reply to questions and provide reports to the House, a weekly program showing the business of the House and a schedule of sittings of various committees.
That articulating government policy and answering questions from the floor of the House is fundamental to the transparency and accountability of government.
In the changes to the Standing Order 42C, a member shall ask his or her question on the day it is scheduled in the order paper. The leader of the majority party shall inform the House of the date, time, and order in which Cabinet Secretaries shall appear to reply to questions and provide reports to the House and committees.
As Parliament, we will play our role.
The previous standing orders only allowed CSs to be questioned by parliamentary committees, with the exercise only carried out by select MPs in the committees. However, in September 2022, President William Ruto stated that his government would give Parliament the mandate to exercise the oversight role of the executive. Under the new rules, MPs will be required to submit written questions at least 10 days before the day on which they want the Cabinet Secretaries to appear. Flora Limuki, TV47.
One person has been killed, 3 others seriously injured, and a host of cattle stolen after twin attacks in Mosuro and Nusidan villages in Baringo North this afternoon. Residents there urge the government to deploy more national police reservists to help calm the situation.
Fear, panic and tension is at an all-time high in Mosuro village, Kiserian location in Baringo South, after one person was shot dead and several injured following a banditry attack earlier on Wednesday as he was herding livestock together with his brother who managed to escape.
Ingawa ilikuwa ng'ombe zaidi ya karibu 5. Grupu 5 ilibebwa, lakini mtu aliuawa. Na sisi tukabaki kama tumeshangaa. Mpaka saizi hata mimi sijui ni nani aliuawa, sijui ni nani na ng'ombe ngapi ilienda. Bado ninashangaa.
The unknown bandits would however stage another raid to rustle cattle in the neighboring Nusidan village, where 3 people have been left nursing serious injuries while trying to pursue the stolen livestock and were taken to Marigat Sub-County Hospital.
Atuelewi tunaendelea kuuliwa mpaka siku gani, na operation watu wanasema kwamba iko. Hii operation hakuna. Ndio hii maiti tunabeba kila wakati. Kila wakati tunaendelea kubeba maiti.
At least 6 counties including Baringo have received attention from the government after deployment of security teams in the areas in response to the security emergency that has since affected school and smooth economic activities from happening.
Tunashindwa hii serikali. Sisi hapa Kisiriani tuko upande gani? Tuko Kenya ama tuko nje? Sababu tunasema operation, lakini hatuoni operation ikiendelea kwa sababu watu wetu wanaumia.
The locals lament that the bandits seem to overpower the security forces due to their tactics of raiding in groups of 10 to 20 people.
Sasa si tu tunangangana na tuko wangapi? We are only 5. tuko 5 peke yake NPR. Asi ndio tunachunga shule, tunachunga mali, tunachunga wananchi. Usiku na mchana hakuna hata kubadilishana. So, imefika mahali sasa sisi tumeona kasi yenyewe imekuwa ngumu.
This as the residents urge the government to deploy more national police reservists to help calm the deteriorating situation.
Hiyo NPR mpaka leo nani huyu ambayo anatufungia? Ndio kwa sababu kama NPR tungekuwa hapa, ule maiti atungekuwa sasa tunaokota, wale watu wangekuwa wamelindwa. Lakini saa hii NPR hatuna na tunaambiwa kwamba ngojeni. Tunangoja tunasika wangapi ndio ikue kwamba ikue kikomo.
So far, the bandits are succeeding in displacing the locals in Losukuro, Mukutani and Elaba location, and lately the Keserian location where the victims have joined together. Paul Munio, TV47.
And hopefully there will be a light at this dark tunnel in the north. And speaking of lights, electricity distributor Kenya Power was hard-pressed to explain the format it uses to charge Kenyans for electricity bills after an uproar over the increasing power tariffs. MPs now calling for a probe into the distributor, especially contracts with independent power producers, that is IDPPs, which are said to be among the biggest drivers in the rising cost of electricity.
Let us at all costs, plus the ministry, ensure that the cost of electricity come down and the sources which can improve and sustain provision of energy is realized.
On Tuesday morning, Kenya Power and Lighting Company KPLC turned out to be the punching bag at the floor of the House as MPs raised critical concerns why the power distributor KPLC is now charging inexplicably high charges for power. Lawmakers now calling for speedy investigation to understand more how they deliver their services to Kenyans.
We need to interrogate the bill. When you receive a bill, an electricity bill, there are so many costs, so many taxes, so many items. If you look at the cost of the unit that you pay, it is almost a quarter. But 3/4 of that bill is actually taxes and fuel and a lot of things that actually do not concern the production of the consumption of the power.
For example, if one buys 4 units of electricity at 80 Kenya shillings, the VAT is 9.28, fuel energy charge is 26.72, forex charge is 7.51, IPRA charge is 0.12, and WRA charge is 0.03, while the REP charge is 1.56.
It is important they are investigated in relation to their cost and their benefit to this nation, because this could be part of the cost of the high tariff we are paying.
The motion that was sponsored by Laikipia Women Representative Jane Kagiri seeks to stop the Ministry of Energy together with Kenya Power from getting into any agreement with the independent power producers IPP until the House makes a decision on the current high cost of electricity. Another question that came up is why the Kenya Power and Lighting Company is said to be recording losses, yet it is a public entity.
We also need to unravel the conundrum. Customers are saying, Kenyans are saying that the cost of bills is very high. But Kenya Power, that is charging them and we are paying them religiously, is also registering losses. Every other time their financial statements are saying the company is making losses.
Mheshimiwa Spika, ni shilingi 188 peke yake zenye ambazo zimekwenda kununua token. Na katika hapo nimeweza kupata token 24 peke yake, Mheshimiwa Spika. Ina maana ya kwamba shilingi 312 zote zimeenda kwa charges ama kwa vitu venye ambavyo mpaka leo ama dakika hii mimi, Mheshimiwa Spika, sielewi.
According to the audited accounts for the financial year ended June 2021, Kenyans supplied a total of 8,443 gigawatt hours of electricity and was paid 44.8 billion shillings. On the other hand, the IPPS only supplied 3,000 gigawatt hours, which translates to about 30% of the total power, but were paid more than 56 billion shillings. The situation is even worse to the so-called hustlers and the Jua Kali business people, since they mostly use electricity to carry out their day-to-day activities.
Nchi ya Rwanda na bara la Afrika nzima utaona ya kwamba bei ya stima hapa ndani ya Kenya iko juu na imeweza kukimbiza watu saizi wanakimbilia katika nchi jirani ili kwenda kufanya biashara.
It is now a matter of wait and see on whether the push to streamline the energy sector will be a relief to Kenyans.
Let's talk politics now, and Azimio Coalition Party will, starting Thursday, resume its People's Baraza meetings witnessed before mass action to pile pressure on the government to accommodate the opposition's grievances rejected by the Kenya Kwanza ahead of the bipartisan talks. According to the Azimio Executive Council, the meetings are meant to brief their supporters on why they called off street protests and their next course of action. But as Apollo Kumar reports, Kenya Kwanza has termed the return of public rallies as blackmail.
And confusion affairs, the Honorable.
In what Azimio calls talks before the talks, the return of Azimio People Barazas sets the stage for Azimio to respond to Kenya Kwanza's refusal to address the opposition's grievances, save for the reconstitution of IEBC, an omission that threatens to scatter the talks.
That's the more reason why we still insist that we must have talks about the talks. Those talks about the talks are what are going to agree on the terms of reference of the bipartisan committee, including also the time frame of their work and how the solutions they will come up with shall be implemented.
And this is an initiation of rallies. They want to go back because they know the president is standing his ground. He doesn't want issues of discussing the issues. We want to discuss the issues of only the IEBC in the bipartisan way by these 7 aside committee members. So what we need is let's wait and see what the opposition are going to do, because I think they are trying to push the goalpost to another side.
The opposition will hit the ground running on Thursday when the Azimio principals address their supporters at Ufungamano House, a key venue of the 92nd Liberation Movement, on why they called off the demos and the way forward amid the dilemma of a Kenya Kwanza side that has refused to budge, calling the rallies another blackmail.
There's been a lot of uncertainty, and people felt and people went further to say that the Azimio leadership has been coerced and has been bought by the government. So there's reason for them to come out strongly and explain to their people and our supporters that whatever they are doing is for the good of the people. They have not abandoned the vision of their people.
Just like previous resolutions during the barazas that led to the mass action, insiders say the new round of rallies is meant to force the government sit ground on the opening of IEBC election result servers, the reinstatement of Cherera 4, and circumstances leading to their removal, have MPs who cross party lines seek fresh mandate, the cost of living, among other issues.
And according to them, talks can only be based on one item, and that is IEBC. Unless they are deaf and they do not listen to Azimio, we have raised a number of issues which are the subject matter of why the demonstrations were called off upon the extension of goodwill.
The Azimio People's Barazas comes in the backdrop of protests against Kenya Kwanza for nominating Elders MP Aidan Kainan to the Kenya Kwanza negotiating team, which Azimio is expected to oppose.
We have a very serious challenge that has been put before us, but we're still hoping that the dialogue will continue. But unfortunately, for us members of the Jubilee Party, we must be real and practical, that we cannot be in Azimio and some in Kenya Kwanza. And if you've decided you want to join Kenya Kwanza, then do it. Don't drag all of us. Go yourself as an individual.
The Azimio team of 7 negotiators, led by Rarieda MP Otiende Amolo, will be holding its inaugural meeting on Thursday, where they are expected to set the agenda for the talks. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Douglas Kanjo has been appointed as the new Deputy Inspector General of the Kenya Police Service by President William Ruto, bringing to a halt the stalemate that had existed following the retirement of former DIG Edward Mbugua. According to a Gazette notice dated 12th April, the President has also appointed former police spokesperson Bruno Shioso as the Director General of the Kenya Coast Guard Service, while Munga Nyale is set to replace Shioso as the Commandant of the Kiganjo Police Training Institute. The former Director of Reforms, DCI Eliud Lagat, has also been appointed the GSU Commandant, with Abdallah Komesha taking up his ranks as the new Director DCI. This comes just a day after the National Police Service Commission, that is NPSC, presented a report on the grilling process of the shortlisted candidates that took place at the Kenya School of Government last week. From the security docket to the health docket, and matters the public health sector in matters limbo. Now, just a day after the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, that is KMPDU, and the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers issued a 7-day notice, ultimatum basically to the county government to pay the salary debt owed by some healthcare workers. The Association of Public Health Officers today broke its silence on some challenges facing its workers and now accuse the government of neglecting the association, which they term vital in promoting curative care and services.
Public health officers are a section of healthcare service providers who are always in the front line to help in health response during and after emergencies such as pandemics or endemics. However, it has now emerged that for more than 20 years now, no fresh recruitments have been made to boost the number of public health officers in the country.
As it is today, as per WHO guidelines, one public health officer serves 10,000 population, while one public health technician serves 5,000 population. This has created a shortfall of about 3,000 public health officers and 5,000 public health technicians in offering right quality of preventive and promotive healthcare service to the Kenyan population as enshrined in our Constitution.
Secretary General for the Association of Public Health Officers Kenya, Mohamed Duba, now says that the union is smelling a rat due to the delayed recruitments by the government.
It should be noted that there is no replacement of public health officers and technicians who left the service through retirement, attrition, and death for the last 2 decades. The country continues training this important cadre at all levels, but not absorbing them into the public service. The question then lingers in everyone's mind: is the government slowly phasing out public health officers and technicians from its system?
The emergence and re-emergence of diseases like the current cholera outbreak in some parts of the country have laid bare the need for the country to quickly shift its health pattern from preventive and promotive to curative, a move which public health officers maintain will need enough hands to implement as the outbreak continues to disrupt not only education but also lives and livelihoods.
It is important to underscore that over 90% of preventive measures are carried out by public health officers and technicians. We therefore should be given the highest priority, both financially and in the deployment of human health workforce throughout the country, both nationally and at the county level.
Cholera is not the only disease that needed the intervention of public health officers. The COVID-19 pandemic, which ravaged the country in 2020, also brought to light the need for public health officials who are considered crucial in sensitizing the community on how to stay safe to curb the spread of the deadly virus.
If preventable diseases are left unchecked by lack of adequate number of skilled public health officers and technicians, at both community and institutional levels, there will be a profound effect on public health, causing illness and diseases, and even death, particularly in children, when further compounded with climate change.
But now this group of representatives from the Association of Public Health Officers Kenya have been thrown into a state of panic, not knowing what the future of the union will be if the current situation persists. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Now listen to this next story. A family in Kohaj village in Subukia sub-county fell sick after allegedly consuming mushrooms, a meal that turned poisonous to them.
The family, which lives in Kwahaji village in Subukia, had very little to cook for dinner on Tuesday night, a representation of millions sleeping on empty stomachs due to lack of food, occasioned by the biting drought coupled with the tough economic times.
Hicho kijiji kina njaa kwa sababu kwa mwaka uliopita hatu kupata mavuno vizuri kama vyenye inchi imekaa, mnasikia kuna upungufu wa mvua. Kwa hivyo hatu kupata chakula vizuri. Kwa hivyo kufikia wakati huu tuseme kuna upungufu wa chakula.
The 5 sons and 2 daughters aged between 1.5 and 18 years picked mushrooms within their compound and prepared dinner, after which they developed stomach problems. To them, nothing was out of the norm, as this was not the first time they had made similar delicacy, which is also common among the local community.
Jana tulikula makuno, tulipata imepikwa mushroom, tukakula sisi tukiwa wa 7 hivyo. Baadaye after kukula kukaa dakika kidogo ikatuharibikia, tukaanza kutabika.
Mtu yote mwenye akukula kwa nyumba akusumbuliwa kwa sababu ni mimi na mama yao, na kuna kijana mwingine wangu pia alikuwa ametoka.
Their father described the turn of events as shocking, saying that he and his wife had seen the mushrooms before they were prepared and that they looked the same as those they usually cook. The peasant parents called for help from Margaret Njiro, a community health volunteer who assisted them in rushing the children to a nearby dispensary for the first aid and later to Bahati Sub-County Hospital.
Nilijaribu kutafuta usaidizi, wakapelekwa Maseno dispensary, diposa kutoka Maseno dispensary wakatumwa hapa Bahati. Sasa kutoka jana wako hapa.
And by the time they were arriving here, they were weak, they were vomiting. Resuscitation was done and they were admitted in our ward. Management has continued, and by now as we go to the air, they are stable.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Another story by Chichi Josephine takes us to a fast short break. You're watching TV47 News Tonight. We'll be right back.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki history. Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka. Umeset the mood. Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku. Katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest parts of every county.
Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists, the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat too much of this. We want them to have more of the natural browse.
We may not always get the opportunity to go out to see the wildlife, but you'll never miss the opportunity to see it from the comfort of your couch.
This is home to animals that have been found out there either injured, abandoned, or confiscated from people who are holding them illegally.
Only on TV47 Wildlife, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m.
Disability is a club that anyone can join.
I live with special needs. It means I have a limitation. There are things I can't be able to do personally myself.
And in our journey to talk about disability, we tell the stories of those with disabilities and even sit with specialists to understand what it means for those affected directly and indirectly.
Everybody's life, mine has also been faced with ups and downs.
If it becomes a self-stigmatized thing where you feel like you are judging yourself too harsh, you blame yourself, and you perceive that it happened because you failed.
Join me, Zainab Mohammed, on Beyond the Limit every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
An entrepreneur is defined as someone who has the ability and desire to establish, administer, and succeed in a startup venture along with the risks entitled to it to make profits.
I'm a professional financier with a professional paper in banking. However, for fashion, it's something I've always loved ever since I was small.
Started as a baby.
You're watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. This is TV47 News Tonight. 3 people are behind bars at Kimilili Police Station after they were allegedly involved in the killing of a Kenya Defence Force officer who was in a holiday. As the report narrates, it said that differences ensued over a girlfriend while the deceased was enjoying himself with locals at an illicit brew den at Nasioya village, Kimilili constituency, Bungoma County.
A somber mood has engulfed in Nasioya village in Kimilili constituency, Bungoma County, after a Kenya Defence Forces officer who was on a holiday was allegedly killed by his drinking buddies in an illicit brew den at Nasioya village. According to neighbors, trouble began when the deceased differed with one of his friends over a woman.
Wakati walikombana, mmoja akasema pengine mwingine alikuwa anataka bibi wa mwingine, rafiki wa mwingine. Ndio huyu marehemu akasema mimi siwezi kutongoza msichana kama huyu, mtoto kama huyu. Bila hao sasa walicomplain, akapika mmoja kofi. Na huyo naye akatoka akakimbia kuleta vifaa kutoka huko boma yao majirani tu.
Residents have condemned the police officers on the rising murder incidents in the area, urging responsible agencies to intervene and further calling for transfer of the police officers.
Juzi hapa Nasioya Primary tumepoteza askari watchman wa shule. Amekufa, amekatakatwa, akakufa tukasika. Punde si punde mama jirani hapo wakakatakatwa tukasika. Wiki moja iliyopita mwenzetu anaitwa Gerald amekufa, tumesika juzi, hata wiki moja ijaisha. Haya sasa wona ndio huyu jirani pia Barasa ameuawa.
Ni kama wanaua jeshi, wanajeshi mzima wanamuua. Na sisi tutafanya namna gani? Mimi nalaani hii kitendo sana.
Confirming the incident, Kimilili Sub-County Police Commander Mwita Maroa says that the police officers succumbed to serious injuries while receiving medication at Kimilili Hospital.
Kuja kugundulika ya kwamba marehemu alikuwa afisa wa jeshi akihudumu katika Moi Forces Memorial Hospital, ni mwenye cheo cha warrant officer.
Elsewhere at Lubuha village in the same constituency, a 16-year-old boy met his death allegedly in the hands of a mob after he was caught stealing from a shop.
Sio mara ya kwanza kwa huyu kijana kusumbua. Kijana amesumbua mara kwa mara. Juzi wakashikwa na wenzao, wakapelekwa ndani, na baada ya kupelekwa ndani, muda mfupi tena.
Insecurity occurrences in Bungoma County are on rise. Few days ago, a local church pastor was killed by a non-assailant. Wanji Sosti, TV47, Bungoma.
Switching gears now, and Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumichi says the plans to reform the NHIF from being curative-based to being preventive-based are well on course. Nakumichi says under the new reforms, the fund will also cover all illnesses, including mental health. Zainab Mohammed tells us more.
Appearing before the Parliamentary Health Committee, Health CS Susan Nakumichi assured the parliamentarians that the new NHIF reforms will give mental health a priority.
When we unpack our UHC, we shall be unpacking a whole package. We shall be telling Kenyans what is this package going to take care of in terms of what is a Kenyan entitled to, what is the financing that has gone into it. We are also even looking at the issue of health workers, which we discussed extensively with the committee in our last sitting. We are also looking at health commodity security in terms of other items that are required.
According to the CS, 50 billion shillings will be allocated to the fund, with the fund expanding its cover to mental health illnesses.
National referral facilities like Madari National Teaching and Referral Hospital and the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital are restructuring and improving on the mental health infrastructure to facilitate better training services for specialized services, mental health, research and referral. This will go a long way in supporting the counties to train their healthcare workers, develop county mental health services and facilitate proper referral to subspecialized care.
Further, the CS said the government will be unveiling 10 new mental health facilities alongside 90,000 health community volunteers in a bid to transform the country's health strategy from preventive to promotive.
These 90,000 community healthcare workers, we expect that one community healthcare worker would be able to take care of 100 households. And this community healthcare worker, once they go to list their members of the household, they list the characteristics of this household, that they get to know what are the issues, what are the challenges, what are the health issues within this household.
Nakumichi says it is all systems go as they strive to make healthcare in the country more preventative based as opposed to being curative based. Zainab Mohammed, 247.
Now, hundreds of Fafi residents held a peaceful demonstration outside the Kenya Development Response to Displacement Impact Project, that is KDRDIP, Garissa offices, demanding all projects under the World Bank-sponsored programs suspended with immediate effect. The demonstrators who moved to the KDRDIP offices said that the efforts to seek audience with the Garissa officials have not yielded any fruits and now want Nairobi office to intervene. But Odur tells us more.
The protest began with placard-waving residents demanding the immediate suspension of all projects under the KDRDIP program. They accuse some Garissa County officials of ignoring their grievances and have called for intervention from the Nairobi office.
Tunaporwa tuko macho. Tuko macho lakini tunaporwa kwa watu wamejiandika kwa hiyo ofisi, they pocket everything, kila kitu wanaweka kwa mfuko yao na hawataki watu wengine wafaidike.
We are demanding somebody from outside our county to come and lead that particular project in Fafi. Kwa vile sisi tumekosa imani na hiyo ofisi, hiyo kazi yote ambayo inaendelea sasa hii isimamishwe.
As tension rose, office staff had to quickly lock themselves in as police were called in to restore order. The demonstrators have a list of demands, including the replacements of all officials in the Garissa office, community mobilizers and facilitators who they claim are working in cohort with the said Garissa County officials to defraud the community.
This office is actually run by the impunity cartels who have actually embezzled the public fund, and there is misappropriation of public fund, by the way. We want to tell that this office has utilized 900 million for the couple of years, but qua ground things are very different. There's no any tangible development that can be accounted for now.
They also want the head of the Garissa office to be a non-local to avoid clan inclination and favorism that they claim is currently being witnessed. Therefore, they presented their petition to the office of the Garissa County Commissioner during the protests.
What we are demanding is, in any project that's supposed to undertake in the constituency, it's supposed to have community participation. Now, there were community mobilizers that have been working before. Their term has ended.
Protesters have also accused the KDRDIP program of misplaced priority in terms of projects allocation and lack of public involvement. A senior official with KDRDIP, who requested anonymity, denied the corruption allegations and defended the retention of staff.
Hakuna community involvement ambaye inafanywa kulingana na the need of the people in Fafi. Watu hawazingatii ni kitu gani haswa watu wa Fafi wanahitaji. Kwa hivyo ni watu ambaye wako there, wako kwa ofisi ku enrich themselves.
KDRDIP project was set to lapse at the end of this month, but has now been extended to December to allow for the utilization of the remaining funds. The project is a national government initiative supported by the World Bank to improve the lives of refugee hosting communities in the north of Kenya, including Turkana, Wajir and Garissa counties. Norbert Oduor, TV47.
And still on matters of the counties, Kiambu County Governor Kimani Wamatangi suffers another blow after Kiambu County Assembly successfully impeached the county executive member for finance. 56 members of County Assembly unanimously agreed to impeach the member, while 2 voted no, as Nyathuna MCA Eddie Kinyanjui opted to abstain, and 27 members missing from the chambers. However, a 5-committee member will be formed to carry out investigations on the allegations leveled against the county executive member. The MCA's father accused the member of forcing county staffs to enroll a MUA insurance cover, while she has been a proxy of Governor Wamatangi to solicit funds.
Who is thinking that they can tend to influence this house, that we are about to punish somebody, and we are about to punish a family, a mother and a wife of their job. I'd want to inform them that we are not hosting her on grounds that she is female. We are here on merit, and we are here presenting issues of her incompetency.
That there are machineries being bought, she was not in office. My main question here is, Mr. Speaker, do we punish someone because of things done even before they got sworn in? 2 months down the line only, and so many things had been done. Is our conscience clear, Mr. Speaker, when we go to finish, to spoil, to destroy someone's career?
Has been passed by at least 1/3 of all the members of the Assembly. The Assembly shall within 7 days appoint a committee comprising 5 of its members to investigate the matter. So the third motion has met the threshold of having been supported by at least 1/3 of all the members of this Assembly.
Meanwhile, Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Florence Abore has announced government crackdown on rogue employment agencies that have been exploiting vulnerable Kenyans seeking for employment in foreign countries. Speaking during the launch of trade test series at Chapter 8 Technical and Vocational Center in Nandi, Abore said that the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection had signed agreements with other countries to increase the number of skilled Kenyans accessing job opportunities abroad.
Apart from NITA, tuko na NEA, National Employment Authority. Hiyo ndio ofisi ambayo wanashughulikia vijana wetu, watu wetu ambao wanaenda ng'ambo. NEA should be able to give the guidelines. And so long as mtu wako na uwezo ya kutaka kwenda na hako na passport, anaweza nenda ng'ambo afanye kazi. And those opportunities are there. And as this government, as this new regime, we are going to streamline the recruitment agencies kwamba recruitment agencies pia wafanye kazi ambao inafaa. Wasijiweke na matope kwa kufanya kazi ambayo haifai. Kama kunyang'anya watu pesa na wapatii nafasi waende. Ama saa zingine wanajiingiza na maneno ya drugs ama human trafficking. Hatutaki, tunataka recruitment agencies wakuwe agencies ambao wanafanya kazi ambao tumewapatia hiyo nafasi wafanye. Currently tunafanya vetting. Na zile recruitment agencies ambao hawafanyi vile inatakikana tunawatoa kwa list. Tunawaderegister. Na tumesema kwamba hata hao ambao wanataka kwenda ng'ambo kwa kazi tofauti pia wanafaa kufanya course ambayo inaitwa pre-departure training. Training ya kuwafunza mahali wanaenda, culture ya wale ambao wanaenda kuwafanyia kazi, ndio wasiende tu bure bila kujua. Na pia wakuwe na basic education. Waweze kuzungumza Kiingereza. Kama wanataka kuenda Saudi Arabia, waweze kujua kuzungumza Kiarabu. Hata kusalamiana, hata kupeana maji. Those basics, so that they are able to work in those countries only. But currently we are also working on watu ambao wanaenda wasikuwe tu domestic workers. All the professions. Kama ni driver, kama wewe ni accountant, uweze kuenda pale na kufanya kazi pale.
Let's cross over to Meru County now, and one family from Kirimakia at the village, a Menti Central constituency, has failed to bury the late kin David Ithinje. It has emerged that the body was mistakenly identified, collected and buried yesterday in the nearby village. John Javakiania tells us more.
A family in a double pain, that of losing a loved one, and another due to the fact that they cannot give their loved one a befitting send-off because his body is missing in an apparent body mixed up incident.
Siku ya leo tuko na huzuni sana tulipofika hapa kujia mwili wa baba wetu tuende tukaulaze, na ilipofika saa 4:30 tunapewa habari kuwa mwili wa baba wetu hauko hapa. Huyu ndiye mama yetu, hao ni dada zangu, tumekuwa hapa kutoka mbali, hao ni watoto wetu pia. Tukija kuchukua mwili, the staff wenye hata wako hapa hawatukulia hata hii mambo ikiwa serious.
It is now emerging that the body available at the morgue belongs to other family that did its burial yesterday.
And we are not very sure kama kweli alisiko wapi Kidongo. We are not sure of this. Swali yetu ni kwa Moredi. Mbona tulipia moshare, tulete mtu wetu hapa, siku ya masisi atupati mbode.
The family now is blaming the funeral home, calling it an emotional torture, psychological and financial torture, and the funeral home should be held accountable for it.
We really demand justice, and this man must be accountable for the losses zenye sisi tunaenda as a family. Our mother is going through so much.
Ile gharama tumeenda ni ya mamilioni ya pesa. Watu wametoka Nairobi, wengine wametoka Mombasa, wengine wametoka ng'ambo, wamekuja kwa masishi. Sasa hao watu watarundi namna gani?
However, close to 5 p.m., the mortuary owner emerged asking for the forgiveness of the mistakes and damages done. He has also affirmed the court order is being sought in court to exhume the family's body so that they can give in the right one.
Mistake was done, which is true. We don't like that. Nande.
A family in a double pain should be held accountable for it.
We really demand justice.
Nande, and now we accepted the mistake, and those people accepted they took the wrong body. They don't know why they are also confused. They don't know why they took it. So they got the court order, so they are going to exhume that one, bring it here. So it's a matter of time.
John Javakiania, TV47, Meru County.
Matters business now, and the Institute of Public Finance has cited Parliament as the weakest link in matters to do with oversight. In a report dubbed a shadow budget that shows how government spent resources in the previous financial year. Proper allocation of our resources is no longer an issue, but the country needs to focus on allocating right and spending in a prudent manner.
Even after we have these variations or underperformance in KPIs, some sectors do not even publish relevant information explaining or giving justification why we have such variances. Another thing is the growth in pending bills. But when you look at the programs that have high pending bills, their budget absorption rates are high. Then we ask ourselves whether clearing pending bills is not a priority for the government. And this is a conversation that boils down even to